Hello and welcome back to Sci-Fi Quest. I'm your host TJ. This is like the fourth time I tried to record this video, so let's see how it goes this time, alright? Okay, so today I would like to talk about robots and androids. In my mind, robots were never going to be anthropomorphic, human-like, because takes a lot of work and it's not practical. I always thought they would be task oriented. Think your washing machine. It's not an original idea of mine, of course. You can find it in, for instance, Space Viking. They refer that they visit a couple of planets, one of which is Marduk, where robots are very anthropomorphic and they're practically useless, whereas their robots are function oriented. So they're a bartender robot. Yes, they do have a bartender robot. It's an ovoid that works on contragravity and just floats around, and it's controlled by an infrared pencil. So it, kind of an interesting concept. But traditionally, what's a robot? Well, a robot is a machine that it's made to look like a man and reproduce its functions and movements of a human automatically. What's an android? Well, an android is a robot that it's made to look human. So a robot would be something like the original Lost in Space robot, and an android would be something like Data or lower in Star Trek, or the completely humanoid robots of the Wayland Corporation and the Alien franchise. Now, are robots good or bad? Well, let's take a look at that. If you take a look at the robot from the original Lost in Space, remember Danger Will Robinson, that one? If Dr. Smith was doing the programming, then it was a bad robot. But if Will Robinson was doing the programming, then it was a good robot. So the robot was the same, the machine was the same. What changed was the intention of the programmer, not the program in itself. The program in itself was a language that the robot, the machine, understood. So you could have the machine perform the same function, but in one set of circumstances it'd be good, and in the other set of circumstances it'd be bad. In the reboot, in the new Lost in Space, the robot is an alien robot, and it's even more dependent on its programming, because when Will Robinson finds it, then it behaves well and it's good. But when the girl that plays Dr. Smith, who's a criminal and so on and so forth, gets her hands on it and gets to program it, then it behaves in a way that we say it's a bad robot. So as you can say, the robot is the same. What changes is the programming. Androids resemble humans intentionally. A lot of work goes into making those robots look exactly like a human. Of course, if you take a look at it from a cinematography point of view, it's the other way around. People cheat. In other words, you have Data or Lore, for example, and it's just the actor with a lot of makeup on it and contact lenses, boom, done. But he's a robot because of his behavior. But then again, not really. If you take a look at that, you'd see that, for example, Data behaves like an automaton in the sense that he is awkward in his speech patterns, but not in his motions, because he's supposed to be very good. In fact, he tells Riker in the very first episode that he is superior to human beings in many ways. And Riker says, "So you think you're superior to humans?" And he says, "No, you have many qualities that I would like to have. So you are what I aspire to be." Notice the use of to be and to have. It's a curious way to put things. But anyways, Lore, on the other hand, it's a lot more human-like. His behavior is much more social. He's less awkward, but he is the bad guy. And you can tell he's really bad in the sense that, for example, he makes a cult for the Borg with himself as the one, which is a very human thing to do, but this is an example of the bad thing he does. Anyways. And also, he also, makes friends with the crystalline structure, and that being goes and essentially kills the whole planet, and so on and so forth. So Lore is the bad guy because of his actions, although he is essentially identical to Data. The only difference is his programming. So we see that the program is what makes a robot good or bad. Another example of humanoid robots that are bad are the bodyguard robots in Pluto Nash. The movie is terrible, but the concept is there. These are robots that are made simply as bodyguards, and they are designed to kill people. They look good, they dress good, they're sharp dressers and all of this and all of that, but their ultimate goal is to kill people. Again, programming. The robots themselves are not different in any way. Then we go to the perfectly humanoid robots of the Wayland Corporation and the Alien franchise. These, we go all the way into a lot of work being put into it by the people that make them, as in the Wayland Corporation, and absolutely no work put in by the people making the movie. The android's blood is white, and when they get dismembered, their guts are white instead of red. But you get my meaning. I mean, aside from them telling us that they're androids, you can't tell them apart. They're supposed to have, better skills than humans and that kind of stuff. But still, the actor just goes in, set, and performs. They are good or bad, depending on their instructions. The doctor on the very first Alien movie was bad because he had been instructed to bring back the sample, whatever the cost, and just, no regards for the crew. Then you have several other iterations of this where the robots may behave well or not, depending on what their mission is. And then, of course, you have something like Agent Smith in the Matrix. Agent Smith is not really a robot because he's just a program, but I think we can put him in here because when he was beating up Mr. Anderson, Neo, that was plugged in, was spitting blood. So I put him firmly in the robot universe. But anyways, that's what I think in terms of robots and androids. It's not the robot or the android that is bad or good. It's the programming that makes it either. They can be more or less useful, but that's neither here nor there. And then, of course, you have all the machines that are not anthropomorphic, they're not human-like, but do behave like robots and have personalities and have effects. An example of this, the Nomad probe in the Changeling in the Star Trek, the original series. I mean, this thing is a column of metal about, maybe 1.5 meters tall, and it can decimate a planet. I mean, totally destroy all life on it, simply because it's looking for perfection. Of course, Kirk is mistaken by the probe as its creator. So it complains about the carbon units in the Enterprise, not realizing that Kirk himself is a human. The long and short of the story is that when it decides to eliminate all humans, Kirk comes in and with some good old human guile convinces it that it too is imperfect and therefore it should do away with itself. So that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. Like I said, this is like my 4th try on this video. I don't know why it's been so terribly difficult, but there it is. I hope you enjoyed it. And as usual, if you like the t-shirt, the place where you can buy them is down in the description. And thank you very, very much for watching. And keep questing. See you next time.